everybody, my name is Caterina Campagna. I am your festival director for this year's 6th annual Her Vision International Film Festival. We have lots of exciting news. We have a new venue. It is called the Regional Picture House in Westchester, New York. It is a fabulous theater, and I'm sure we'll all have fun at the event happening November 7th. So that's only in New York, only in November, on November 7th at the Regional Picture House. We also have new prizes, including Studio Vidi. It is a platform that will help you in post and pre-production for your film with being able to lay out your shot list for you. You can just put in what your scene looks like, and an AI compatible image will appear. A image that's compatible to what you want will appear using AI in your shot list. So that's fabulous. Then it also has a option to actually lay out the budget for your upcoming production, and also you can write with a partner on the same software. No need to buy two versions of a software if you're collaborating with people on your project. So there's lots of great features, and if you enter this year, you will get a month's free of Studio Vidi, a subscription for a free month, just by entering your project this year. So you want to hurry up and enter so you can already start reaping the benefits of being involved in our festival. And of course, as always, if you enter your film and it happens to be exceptional, which we get lots of them, your exceptional project, and you will be featured on our podcast, which is now also going to be available on Spotify. So if you consume podcasts there, please give us a follow. The Her Vision International Film Festival podcast. We look forward to seeing you all and seeing your scripts and your projects. We also, without any further ado, we have another prize giver, and you'll see him now giving a wonderful interview from his England office. It's Future Media Concepts. They are a training course, a training school for editing, just all these great softwares. You can learn through them, and you get a percentage off. You get 10% off specifically if you come out to the festival on November 7th. So in the meantime, check out the interview and you can see if it's a class that you'd be interested in taking. So yeah, thank you so much for supporting the festival as usual. As you might have noticed, this year we're kind of on a different time frame. So yeah, we're usually wrapping up this year in this festival in April and spring to have a screening in June. But this year, because of World Cup fever happening in New York, we had to change, modus operandi, and we're going to be, we're in the throes of the festival now. The next deadline is actually coming up in about 10 days or so. 10 days. So you want to get your scripts in now, and we'll be screening once again November 7th in Westchester, New York at the Regional Picture House. So yay, get those entries in, scripts, shorts, features. We accept them. If you're wondering, hence the name Her Vision Film Festival, we highly support work that has a female director, writer, producer, editor, and we especially like mixed gender teams to show that, there is no I in film. We like to see men and women collaborating, working together, and respecting each other. So if you're a male director, but your writer happens to be a female on your project, hey, you can go ahead and submit. Your project qualifies. Also, if you're a male writer and you just have the screenplay with a great female protagonist or antagonist, you can also go ahead and submit. And also, we have a new category, our faith-based category, films that give glory to God. We love them. Please send them our way. We want to see how, how you worship, how you're giving thanks to the Creator. So I just want to thank you all again for keeping us going for 6 years. And yeah, happy shooting, happy writing. Look forward to meeting you. Thank you so much.
My name's Jordan Belmont. I am the Senior Project Manager at Future Media Concepts. I've been working there for about 5, going on nearly 6 years now, and I tend to handle the kind of certification / training with a little bit of sponsorship in there, and some project development as well. That's me.
Thank you so much, Jordan. So I just wanted to get a little bit into the nuts and bolts of the company. You do certifications, you train in editing software. If you could just walk us through a little bit about the company and how it operates a little bit more.
Okay, so Future Media Concepts has been going for, I think we passed the 30-year mark 2 years ago. I want to say 2 years ago, we passed the 30-year mark. It all started, my understanding of it is it started with the 2 owners, Jeff Rothberg and Ben Kozuch, got together and they started kind of doing this training process with Avid quite some time ago in video editing, and they started to get to know people in the industry, some of the bigger names, and they all kind of like built up together at the same time, and it swelled to the point where nowadays we're dealing with training, certifications, and events with basically all the big names. So you've got Apple, Nvidia, still Avid, thankfully, Adobe, Dell Technologies, Maxon, and many, many more. So so it was kind of like it started off with the training and then just kind of bloomed into events and now, again, like I said, we're working with all those companies. We show at NAB Vegas, at NAB New York. We also handle the Final Cut Pro Summit, which usually takes place in Cupertino, Apple's home base and stuff like that. So it's fascinating, and we tend to get like quite a mixture of people as well. So for the training, we certify students, we certify individuals, professionals, hobbyists, pretty much anybody with a passing kind of interest in the creative space. It tends to be post-production for the creative space, so like video editing that's who we are. That's the history of it. That's kind of like a rough history of it.
That's quite an accomplishment for any company to be around for 30 years. That's really amazing. Mm-hmm. So tell us a bit about your background. How did you get involved with the company? What is it about you that you think drew your employers to you?
Okay, so I got with the company during COVID. So I have a creative background, not in video editing though. So my background is I refer to myself as kind of like a full stack creative. So I deal with illustration, copywriting, and web design, coding and stuff. So I always wanted to kind of like, I've always had an interest in that kind of creative world. Now, during COVID, as I'm sure many can relate to, kind of dried up a lot of jobs. I was kind of like withering away in my apartment, being locked up with nothing to do. And I was unemployed at the time. And FMC, the company, they were doing online events Now they were asking for volunteers that I found to kind of like host the events online. So they're doing all these virtual events. They've moved everything from in person to online. And I reached out and I was like, hey, it'll help keep my sanity if I could just kind of like host some of these things too. Like I like to be good with people. And they did. And I hosted a bunch of their events that they did. And I got to know the people who worked there. I got to know a lot of the speakers. And like I said, I'm good with people. So I was just kind of like bantering. And I think they kind of like the British accent too. That always helps. So yeah. And then it just kind of stuck, right? So like COVID started disappearing, or at least, like waning. And I met with Ben, the owner, and he just kind of said, look, you're completely wasted behind a computer. You're really good with people. I really want you to work with us. And 5 to 6 years on, here I am. So I do still work from the UK, so I am behind a computer a lot of times. But they do kind of ship me out every once in a while. They let me loose on the world, and I get to go to Vegas or like I said, Cupertino or some of these places. So yeah, I've just kind of been with them since, and grown throughout the company. I started off as just hosting, but now I'm running the certification section of things and helping a lot with training. So yeah, it's just kind of blossomed.
Beautiful. Congratulations. It's
Thank you.
very meant to be kind of story. Very
yeah, it worked out well. Yeah, from disaster to benefit, I suppose. So,
thank God for human resiliency. Yeah. Tell us what the events are like. Sounds interesting. Maybe your Vegas story or any other kind of anecdotes.
So it was 4 or 5 years ago kind of thing, like when I did help a lot with the events. Like they bring me out. I'm more of an assistant when it comes to the events. I'm kind of, like I said, like we've got the 3 pillars of the company, or at least that's how I see it. We've got the training, the certification, and the events. With the events, I was helping a lot more before, but we've kind of I've gone over to like sort of project development and kind of harnessing the training and certification side of things. We have a very capable director of events, Elise O'Brien, who handles all the events now with people. And I'm sure she'd have like many anecdotal stories which are more impressive than mine. They're fantastic. I mean, someone coming from the UK, it's so mind-bogglingly large, especially if you go to something like NAB Vegas. It's like the country mouse coming over to the city kind of thing. It's like, oh my gosh, like all this stuff. But essentially, the only kind of anecdotal stuff I can tell you, without going into too much detail, there's a lot of handling people the right way and understanding people and dancing between the raindrops, I suppose. And I mean, there's a lot of big companies as well, so it's understanding their relationships. So like this one can't be with this one, and stuff like that. So it's very intricate kind of relationship development. One thing I will say is every single time we do some of these events, there's always a problem with deliveries. So I will say delivery way too late, or we just don't even get a delivery. So a lot of the times there's kind of like the mad rush where we realize we haven't got like the appropriate banner for like an Adobe session or something like that, or like the after party or something, and we are scrambling to like find the closest staples. So somebody, if we had like a meeting with Apple or somebody, like I'd be there as part of project development to kind of say, okay, what are we looking to do here? But yeah, nothing too juicy, unfortunately.
Just to bring it back, you touched on a lot there. Just to bring it back so people could relate, right, in terms of the film world, how producers and directors have to sort of dance in between the raindrops to keep everybody copacetic and, get all the details across the board correct for their project.
Be perfect.
Yeah.
Someone can't be a little bit higher on the banner than the other. That has to be that exact line, Yeah.
Exactly. I can only imagine like directors on the scale of Wes Anderson having so much detail orientation. It's like, you know, yeah.
Like for myself in particular, it's like bridging the gap. So it's kind of like I've got the benefit of having such a creative background, so I know how creatives tend to think. But then I've been working so much in kind of like, I want to say, the business / administrative field, that I can kind of translate one from the other. So I know kind of what creatives are looking for, but I also know what the businesses are looking for. So I like to think I fit in that kind of groove kind of nicely. So that's kind of something else I bring to the company. So
let's delve into the courses, because you mentioned the companies that you represent, but what about the actual courses? What do they look like? How are they organized? Are they online modules, or who are sort of the teachers?
yeah, so we have like a wide array of all these types of sessions. We got things from DaVinci, Apple, Adobe, AutoCAD. We've got things. We've got so many different things, and we've got things coming down the pipeline too that we can't even talk about right now. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, it's just like we've got such a wide array. So in terms of like what our offerings look like, it's all online. We do in-person stuff too. If some companies tend to want to do, we do offer things like passport programs where they can buy like in bulk, like workshop sessions, and we can do that for a discount. But we can also do on-site as well. So if they want people to come to them, we'll send some people out and kind of train them. But like in general, like our day-to-day kind of workshops, they can range from anything from like a 3-hour workshop to like a 5-day workshop, depending on how in-depth. I mean, these softwares are so in-depth. Some of them you just can't fit into the one time. And again, like the price, in terms of price range, you're looking at, again, like a 1-dayer could potentially be like $300. And then I think some of the highest ones we've got are like around the 1,900 mark. So it does vary quite widely, and at the end of it, you get like kind of like the whole you attended and passed kind of certificate, and a lot of them lead on to certificate. Well, no, I wouldn't say a lot, sorry, but we do have a portion of them that lead on to potential certifications as well. Obviously, you've got the Adobe suite with their the Certiport certifications, which I actually proctor myself. Yeah, that's another one of the things I do. I'm kind of I've got my fingers in a lot of pies. And then we got the Final Cut Pro stuff, which we have exclusivity to when it comes to the certifications. So I helped make and bring people in to design them for Apple. So we've got like a nice kind of flow from the courses to the certifications in some of these. But yeah, that's kind of what they look like. We also do free webinars as well. This is also a thing that we do, which I wanted to mention. So for example, one of our big ones at the moment is what's new in macOS Tahoe, which just replaced Sequoia. So people can just kind of come for free and just watch kind of like I think it's like 1 hour. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's about a 1 hour webinar where they just kind of show you, okay, here are all the changes from Tahoe to Sequoia. Oh, sorry, from Sequoia to Tahoe. And
yes,
new in After Effects, what's new in this. So you don't have to. So let's say you take the After Effects, the Adobe After Effects course now, and then all of a sudden they do a kind of point something update. You're not like, what kind of like free webinars to kind of like to keep people updated if they've already taken a course and stuff, so you don't have to keep repeating. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. It seems really fascinating. Editors know softwares are ever evolving, so it's really interesting to see how developing your skills on that is applicable in day-to-day courses.
No end in sight on this. Like there doesn't seem to be any kind of slowdown either.
Again, that's interesting because, of course, we have to touch on AI, right? And I think like, so outsider perspective, right? It's like now there's AI editing is kind of one and done type mentality.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject, AI, right? I think we can all kind of agree.
Of course,
in my opinion, I suppose there's kind of this. There's some people who are at the top which are like, this is going to save me a fortune. I'm just going to bring AI in to replace everybody. Then you've got the people who are worried about this. They're kind of like, right, I'm in the creative zone. It sounds like doom and gloom for the creative zone. So what am I doing here? Do I need to jump ship? Should I even continue? Should I try, should I learn to be a plumber? Right? One of the things we do, so we do AI offerings. So, we've got AI courses in design, sound editing, broadcast, VFX. And the thing that we kind of show is that you're going to need a person behind this stuff, right? So it's no different. It's no different from when the internet came up. Right, you're always going to get some people that are like, this just doesn't fit me, but then you want to kind of be one of those people that are at the front of it, in my opinion. But people want human interactivity, right? I love this, but I would much rather be sat there with you chit-chatting, kind of having a cup of tea or whatever, because people thrive on connectivity. I don't think that's going to change. I think, yes, we're seeing a lot of this kind of like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or whatever the new one's called, where they're kind of like closing in. I don't think they're going to want that forever. These things are cyclical, right? So the idea behind this, in my opinion, is it's meant to be a tool, not a replacement, right? So my brother, for example, he's an illustrator and animator, and his work is skyrocketing. It's not going down.
Yeah.
To other people about concept art, about any of this stuff, and they're like, don't need it anymore. You got AI generated stuff. And I mean, you and I have probably seen enough AI generated stuff now to know what AI generated stuff looks like.
Yeah.
People want to see things that are genuine, that have humanity in it. And I think we're always going to get those people. I personally as well, I collect retro video games. This is one of my hobbies. Value, but I like the physical side of things too. The video game industry. Sorry, I'm ranting here, but it's
No. I find this really interesting, and I think people will too. I like the way you're kind of marrying everything. How you said AI is more of a tool, not a replacement, right?
Importance to have the physical, right? Something that you can hold in your hand, which again is what I was getting at with the video game thing. It's there's this whole thing about non-ownership nowadays. It's all in the cloud, it's all online and this kind of stuff, but there's always going to be a contingent of people that are like, I want to know that a person worked on that. Someone's sweat went into that, and that's important. We don't want to lose our skills. We want to enhance them, and that's what AI should be. It's the Wild West at the moment. It's like when the internet first opened and everybody was like, oh my god, what is this? Oh my gosh, what do we do with this? Like I can't do this, or some people excelled. And I think with AI, it's a similar sort of thing. I think, yes, it is indefinitely, there's no two ways about it. It's going to affect our lives. It's just too integral already at this point. I mean, who Googles anything anymore? You might as well just like go on ChatGPT, right? Or Gemini or something. And, to get the answers. But we as people need to be conscious not to outsource too much to this. There needs to be our own thoughts, our own actions. And this includes films, this includes video editing, this includes illustration, coding, whatever it is. There's always going to be a large bunch of people out there who are like, I want to know that a human worked on this. Yeah. Because you feel it in the work. You feel that. You can see. AI is great. AI is great. It's undoubtedly, but it's a tool. It's not a replacement.
Another great point there, the human spirit, because I think everybody can feel kind of like cold. You're just going through things in this world, McDonald's, Apple,
Starbucks.
yeah, exactly. Like so cold and corporate and, big entities, and then the little ants that walk around in it. And it's like, no, but there's something, there's something within the creative realm, right? It's like the difference between a photograph and a painting. I think it's great that you brought that up. You can feel it.
There's a beauty in it. People in the future going to go to the Louvre, if it's full of like AI generated stuff, I don't think so, right? There's a reason why hundreds of thousands of people, like go there. Somehow someone with a paintbrush captured that beauty, right? And that makes us believe that we might be able to do it too, right? Yes, and that's the thing. If a computer does it, it's like, well, I can't do that. It's a computer, right? I'm not a computer. I can't do, and it's about inspiration too, right? It's about being inspired, and it's about you can do this. You can go out and do this, and that's the beauty of human created stuff. Again, with the tools of AI. I make things digitally on Photoshop, right? I use a graphics tablet, make things on Photoshop. I couldn't make them without Photoshop, but Photoshop can't make them without me either.
Yeah.
The beauty of AI should be, especially when it comes to the creative world.
Right. What's coming to mind is like, somebody shooting a film, a burning building, instead of setting something on fire, just kind of adding flames. Would you see it as kind of more of a tool, as an After Effects sort of tool or application?
I mean, like, with our AI classes, we a lot of these companies like Adobe and Apple are doing it now too. They've just rolled out their Creator Studio and stuff. They're integrating it, right? So they're like plugins. So a lot of the AI thing is just to kind of save a bit of time at the moment. So kind of like you go into I don't know, something like Cinema 4D or something like that, and it just saves you the time, right? So usually those arduous parts where it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to think of the right angle for this. Again, like, I'm saying some stuff here. I don't use a lot of those. So I'm just going off the knowledge of like, okay, my color correction, right? Oh, I've got to do this color correction, which takes ages. And I can't quite tell if that should be that. AI can fix it for you, right? It's not doing the whole work. I mean, it can. But again, then we go back into that whole realm of there's no humanity in this thing, and I think these events that we're doing and these things that we're talking about, the whole point of it is humanity. So yeah, I think they're just plugins, aren't they? They're just plugins at the end of the day. They just help it. They just cut a little bit of that time down so you can spend some time with the family, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. Just one or two more questions, then I'll let you go.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I just wonder, like, accomplishments, like, what have you seen in terms of, oh, it's great we were able to be a part of this person's journey, your past students, things like that, something that you've been proud to be having had a hand in?
Yeah, I wouldn't say individual, because we've got so many people coming in and out of the door. For me, again, this is anecdotal, right? So this is my story. I helped create the Final Cut Pro certification and training program that we've kind of helped with Apple, like I mentioned earlier. And it's just kind of, for me, it's just kind of been interesting to see. Like I said, there's no slowdown. Like, students are still, because the main part of making those certifications is we're licensing them out to schools. So traditionally speaking, Adobe has kind of had the largest slice of the pie when it comes to, okay, what are students learning in school when it comes to this creative stuff, video editing or like image correction or anything like that. And it's been kind of nice to go in and, you know, like go to the, well, not physically, but, you know, like talk to the teachers in these schools who are like, oh, we've been pulling our hair out. You know, everybody uses an iPad nowadays. Everybody uses an iPhone, you know, an insert whatever the Apple product is. And it's been good to see that it's more accessible now. So these things, now that we've been doing these licenses for schools, there's a lot more accessibility, you know? So they're like, oh, right, okay, I can just go on Final Cut Pro on my iPad and sort of just do it here and there, you know, like directly, you know, with what I'm comfortable with. I don't have to go on this laptop over there or this desktop over there or whatever it is. You know, so it's been nice to hear from the teachers themselves. Oh, this is fantastic. You know, my students are passing these exams, and, you know, they're going to go on to the next exam. And yeah, that's it's been nice. And it makes me feel good, not just in that cheesy kind of, oh, yay, the kids kind of way. But again, based on what we were talking about, there's no slowdown. You know, like there's still people shouting for certification. There's still people shouting for human training. And to be a part of that, to have created something in that, that's been my kind of like, you know, my the thing I've left behind, right? My footprint. When it comes to this world, you know, because I'm not a video editor. I'm not like I said, I was a host, and I kind of came up, and yeah, I kind of talked to Apple, I talked to all these big corporations and stuff, but every once in a while, like I meet with a school, just a random teacher, and it's nice to hear that they're like, oh, this is fantastic, you know, like we've been waiting for something like this, and the students are happy about it, and it's successful, you know. So that's been my imprint on the post-production world, I suppose.
Awesome. Excellent. And I wanted to speak about also, please, just to clarify, we're so honored and happy to have you on board to partner with us on the festival this year. And you're very kind to give 10% off people's certification and classes if they come out to the festival in November. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about that, like how it works, exactly, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no problem. So from entry point, you know, once they kind of get the code, it's good for 3 months. So they can use that code 3 months from that point. You know, just, you know, there's a bit of wiggle room there as well. If you can't make that 3 months, we're not too tight on these types of things. Just don't do it like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the line. We're saying roughly around the 3 month mark. We will accept that code, and yeah, you get 10% off. Like you said, any certification or any training workshop.
And one more question. What's your favorite video game? What do you have in your collection?
It's got to be, here's where I geek out. It's got to be Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And again, anybody watching this will understand, my surname's Belmont, and the characters in that are the Belmont clan who hunt vampires.
Oh!
Well, I've got to represent. So, PlayStation 1 era, incredible time to be alive.
Okay, Jordan, thank you very much. I so appreciate you being a part of the festival and partnering with us this year.
No, it's been fantastic, and it's been good to, you know, like getting to know you as well, and kind of like going through all this. This has been great. So it's always nice to meet new people who are just as passionate about this stuff. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sword fight, king of the hill. Fireflies and jars divided, wonder bars and dungarees. his chair.